Namaste everyone, welcome again to Bodhi Surf Yoga, and today we have for you alignment concepts. It's a little tutorial about alignment concept for standing postures. The funny thing that we're gonna notice in here is that same concept of alignments apply to almost every single standing posture. So I'm gonna go through a few principles that I have learned over my practice that really enhance the alignment. Now, how important alignment is. I am not the one who consider that posture has to look perfect. You know, perfect is such a relative concept. You know, everybody is the same, different, and everyone is gonna look different on the posture. Obviously, if your body is more open and flexible, or you have longer time practicing, and the posture is gonna look more graceful than if you're just starting and your flexibility is not that great. The idea of alignment is to keep you safe. For me, that's important, and to work on the areas we need to work. But I'm not super strict about alignment. Sometimes as you're trying to reach certain pose, it might not look great. It's part of the process. The important thing is how you feel into the pose. This is one important thing. And the other important thing, obviously very important, is to keep your practice accessible and safe. So sometimes you have to change it a bit in order to make it accessible or safe. Okay, so I'm gonna start with one concept that is quite popular, but I found it really useful: internal and external rotation. We apply internal and external rotation of many parts of the body when we're holding the posture and we want to kind of emphasize alignment into the posture. So for example, it's very easy to understand what I'm doing in the shoulders. I'm gonna extend my arms in there, and if you're watching this, try to do it as well. And then we're gonna do internal rotation, which means I'm rolling my shoulders in. And then I'm gonna do external rotation. See what happens. I'm rolling my shoulders out. Now my chest is open. I'm able to access more sense of opening along my shoulders and my chest. Okay, now take your hands down. Now let's do the same, but with the arms up. So I take my arms up, and then I do internal rotation of my shoulders. My arms come forward and the shoulders draw to the ears. But then external rotation, I lower my shoulder blades down and I create more space between the ears and the shoulders. Okay, so that can be also applied in every other part of the body. It would be more subtle and certain. I have my legs and my feet here. If I want to do internal rotation of my feet, the toes come in, the heels come out. If I want to do external rotation, the toes come out, the heels come in. Okay, but what happens when I move my feet into internal and external rotation? I'm changing the line of my hips. I'm changing the line of my thighs. Now this is gonna be not as noticeable, but then if I wanna do internal rotation of my thighs, I'm gonna draw them in and they're gonna come in. If I wanna do external rotation, the tailbone is gonna be tucked in a little bit. Internal, external. Okay, this is gonna become very important as we practice. Now, let's practice one of the well-known postures, one of my favorite, Trikonasana. I have one foot open. Okay, so let's say I'm in front of the mat. I'm in standing Tadasana or Samastiti. I'm gonna start with my right foot. I take my left foot back. In Trikonasana, we do one leg distance apart. There's an open Trikonasana when you can do more, okay? But ideally, you wanna have one leg distance apart. Now, I'm gonna do internal rotation on my back foot so the toes come in. I have been in other schools where in Trikonasana, the back foot is actually open. The toes are open to the side. So there's like a wall, imaginary wall, on the edge of the back foot. That's one variation, that's one school of alignment. I like the toes in. Why? Because if I have my toes open, my hip is square. and I find more tightness in my hips. If I bring my toes in, internal rotation of my toes on my feet, I immediately don't have my hips square. That creates more space on the front hip. Okay. Now I also am going to apply internal rotation on my back thigh. Okay. And then a few things when it comes to the feet. For standing positions, Trikonasana, Warrior Pose 2, or some other posture, Warrior Pose 1, Virabhadrasana 1 and 2. If you're having lack of balance, what you can do is bring the back foot to the side a little bit more. If you're not having lack of balance, we do a heel to heel alignment. The front heel is in line with the back heel. Now, right now, to activate my legs, I'm pressing the outer edge of the back foot, and I'm pressing the inner edge of the front foot. That immediately engages the muscles on my thighs. And also, when I spread my feet apart, I'm pressing both feet down and opposite directions. Okay? So my legs are active. I'm engaging my legs. Now we take the arms up. Okay? The torso is right in the middle. And right here, I start reaching forward. You don't want to lock the knee, so you keep engaging the muscles on your thighs to protect the knee. I'm going to do this with a block that makes it way more aligned, okay? So I extend my arms and start reaching forward. And see, because I have my toes in on the back foot, I'm able to pull that from the pelvis, the front of the hip, all the way back with more space. As instead, if my hips were square, it's more uncomfortable. Okay, what I'm feeling here is that I'm trying to draw that front sit bone, the right sit bone, towards the back heel. So I create more space, because one of the mistakes we make in Trikonasana is that we kind of do this. We curve the back. So we want to have the back straight. Okay, and right now I'm activating, very important, when you're in standing positions with your legs straight and the weight of your torso is coming down, you can push too much pressure on the knee. If you lock the knee and you're not engaging the muscles on your legs, you're gonna lock the knee down and you can hurt the back of the knee. So you can micro bend the knee, or you can keep it straight, but you can keep lifting the quadriceps up. You keep pulling the feet apart from each other, and then you have traction and you have strength to hold. You have a good foundation to hold the pose. Now, the chest is open, but I'm trying to keep lengthening my chest, and the arms are up. In here, I apply again external rotation of the shoulders. You know, you can keep your gaze forward, and you can look at your thumb on the upper arm. In Trikonasana, we want to have the arms in the same line, okay? But again, another concept. Keep pulling the front sit bone towards the back heel. And it makes you lengthening, it gives you space enough to lengthen from the base of the spine to the top of the head. Let's say, applying the same concept in Parsvakonasana, okay? So we're bending the knees. Parsvakonasana asks you to have the legs away from each other as much as you can. Okay. So this is Parsvakonasana, which is the same foundation as Warrior Pose 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Again, in my case, I like the toes in on the back foot. I press the outer edge of the toes, of the back foot, and then I engage the muscles on the back. And then I bend the front knee. Okay. So I have my foundation strong. Again, the tendency, I'm gonna show it the opposite way. The tendency in Parsvakonasana is to do this, okay? To stick the tailbone out. So let's practice internal rotation of the hip. We draw the hip in, and notice that when I draw the hip in, the chest goes back. And it makes it easier for me to keep the chest right in line with the thigh. And in Parsvakonasana, there's a school that says that the hand goes out, then the school that says that the hand goes in. I like them both. It depends, you can try both variations. I like it here because when I do this, I keep rolling my knee out and it just won't come out, but I keep pressing my knee against my hand, okay? And then I take my chest, take my arm up. But I also like it here because it feels a little bit like a hip opener. The front of the pelvis comes forward, then I roll, external rotation of the shoulder, then it makes it easy to be aligned, okay? In reality, from traditional schools, this is from the Ashtanga method, this is from the Iyengar method, okay? You can choose whatever variation. Should you use the block or not? The block allows you better alignment. Even if you're super flexible, the block allows you better alignment. But you don't necessarily need the blocks for postures like this. Because when you're in Trikonasana, you can place a hand. If you're not reaching the floor, you can place a hand on your leg. If you're in Parsvakonasana, you don't reach the floor, you can do this, okay? But let's keep moving into the internal and rotation external. For example, we're in Parsvakonasana here. Another mistake we tend to make, we roll the shoulders into internal rotation in standing positions. This is how it looks if I do external rotation, okay? I open up my chest and immediately it's kind of like I'm throwing my chest back, okay? Because also in Trikonasana, people tend to do this. If I do external rotation of my hips, then immediately the chest goes back, because at the end the chest should go right in one line with the leg and open, okay? So this is how important internal and external rotation are. Let's try a different position, okay? So there's open positions. What we call open is warrior pose 2, which in here I can easily show internal rotation, external rotation, okay? There's a Trikonasana, there's Parsvakonasana, okay? And there's a closed pose, which is when your hips have to, these are more demanding because it's when your hips have to be facing to the front, which is everything like Parsvakonasana, coming forward, or the twist, okay? So let's explain these postures. And I'm gonna use the blocks for better alignment. Let's say we have Samastiti here. We step with the foot back. This time I'm gonna use the right foot. The toes are in on the back foot. How much? Not completely in, because if you're completely in, you're gonna end up, when you come forward, lifting the back heel away from the floor. But you bring the toes in an internal rotation so that you can square the hips on the same line. Again, I'm doing internal rotation of the back foot, internal rotation of the back thigh, and even internal rotation of the front thigh. So I'm hugging the energy in. Okay. Why is this? Because again, when we do Parsvakonasana, this tends to happen. Let me show you this way. This tends to happen, you know. The hip comes out, and it's almost like I'm doing a Trikonasana with most of my hands up. But what we want to do is actually square the hips, and when we do that, we bring the sit bones up. Okay. We engage both muscles in the legs. Again, why? To protect the knee and to keep a good solid foundation. Same here, I'm pressing the inside of my front foot, the outside of my back foot, okay? And I'm squaring my hips. And then from there, as much as I can, I come down. It is gonna happen frequently unless you have good alignment in the hips, that we're gonna shrink this part and open this part. So what do we do to help this out? What we do is, as we're coming down, and you can even do manually, take the hand inside the inner groin, the left groin in this case, pull it back. So you're gonna notice immediately by doing so how the right hip comes down. Okay, so you keep doing that to square the hip. And this is what we can work on. Eventually, this is gonna look turn into Trikonasana, Parivrtta Trikonasana, which is from here. you keep the foundation straight, and from the middle of the back, you twist. But if we are not settled on that, this might happen. Okay, so with lengthening, we keep grounding the feet, pressing the feet away from each other, and then we take the arm up. Okay, same applies. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. The idea is eventually for the hips to be on the same line. So if I don't apply the internal rotation, the warrior can look like this, the hip is open. If I apply it, internal rotation of the back foot and the back leg, then I align the hips this way. And then I can bend and work on the hip flexors on that leg. Okay, so this is an important thing to notice. Same can happen on a deeper twist. Okay, if I'm in a lunge pose and I want to twist to the side, okay, if I have external rotation, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crunch on the side as instead of lengthening. So if I'm here and I do internal rotation of the thighs, immediately I'm bringing the energy in, and it makes it more accessible for me to keep the base of the spine straight as I twist. Okay, and then when we're twisting, and we're gonna lift the back leg up, then we can apply external rotation of the upper back and open up, which is very subtle. It's not gonna be super noticeable, but what we're doing is from this to this. Okay, so again, few concepts. When your feet are open, you push them and you separate them. You create the energy as if you're trying to separate your feet away from each other. You work with internal and external rotation of the parts of the body. We just went on the thighs and the hips, but you can even do it on your shins. You can even do it on your shoulders, on your neck. You can do the internal and external rotation of these different parts of the body. Now, Prasarita is another standing posture. It's an open posture. Let's come here. At this point, I'm pressing my feet away from each other and engaging my legs. I'm doing a little bit of internal rotation. When I do internal rotation, I immediately lift and spread my sit bones apart. And that allows me to actually work on getting down a little bit deeper. It makes it easier. So right now, the actions that are invisible, maybe for others, even for the camera, but you feel it in your body, and this is very important, is the forms, the internal shapes that makes a whole difference in the asana practice. You can just say, have the intention of separate your feet and just coming down and see what happens here. But you can also work on the internal forms, which is the energy of the posture. So if you're working on that, you feel the legs engage. You feel you're pressing the whole feet down to the floor. You're lifting the inner arches as you're pressing the outside of the foot down to the floor, and you're pressing the feet away from each other. Just by doing that, you feel you're doing a lot of work. You're engaging the muscles here. So I'm lifting my kneecap. So I'm keeping my back straight. Every time we do a forward bend on a standing position, we try to spread the sit bones away from each other. I'm doing right now external rotation of my hip, internal rotation of my thigh. And then it's easier to come down. This is Prasarita A. So, these are a few very important concepts of the asana practice. Not that many, but very easy and simple to apply. The number one, internal and external rotation of different parts of the body, the shoulders, the hips, the thighs, the feet. So always pay attention. Many teachers knows about this, what internal and external rotation you should be applying to every different part of the body. Then the second one, when the feet are separate, you gotta create some traction, some energy holding in the middle line. So, for example, you separate your feet, you have to sometimes press the outer edge of one foot, the inner edge of the other one. the tendency, why do we have to do that? Because the tendency is going to be quite the opposite. You're going to lift the inner side of the front foot, and you're going to press the inside of the back foot. So you got to come and do the contra energy, like the opposite energy, to keep engaged. Another thing to protect your legs, always activate the muscles in your quadriceps so you don't lock your knee, you don't pull it all the way up. Okay. Notice the alignment of the pelvis, the hip, and the sit bones. As I said, when the legs are apart, the sit bone, in order to find a space, has to be drawn to the back heel in sort of open poses like Trikonasana, Parsvakonasana, warrior pose too. So that's another alignment. But if you're coming forward on a forward bend, the sit bones, they just move apart so the tailbone can come up. So those are a few tips. I hope you can work on them. I hope they work on your practice. When you're doing the asana, the most important is notice how it feels, not how it looks. Notice how it feels. Notice the energy within the body, not only the anatomical aspect of your body, but the energy. How can you move the energy in a more intelligent way? That's the intention of a good alignment. Namaste. Thank you.